Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my channel. My name is George Kingori, and I'm your online finance guy who speaks about all matters finance, how you can be able to save, how you can be able to invest, and how you can be able to grow in your financial journey. And so today we are going to speak about the topic of investing, and especially ETF investing. And this is a beginner's guide on how you can be able to know what are ETFs, how can you be able to invest in ETFs, and the advantages, disadvantages, and basically an introduction to this topic of ETFs. If you're new on this channel, please kindly subscribe so that you can be able to get this and more tips to be able to help you in your financial journey. So today we are going to speak about ETFs, and I have a document here, and I'm using one ETF just for example purposes so that you can be able to see and be able to learn about ETFs. So what are ETFs? And before we start talk about ETFs, it's good to start from the beginning. ETFs are a basket of shares that you buy an asset that has a basket of shares with a specific characteristics. In the example of this, it is companies, shares of companies in the information technology space. But before we learn more about ETFs, it is important to learn about the introduction of ETFs and why ETFs have become popular. And we need to look at it from the angle of what is the problem with shares investing. Shares, as you know, are securities that are issued in a stock market by companies as they look for funding and as they allow the public to have percentage ownership in a company. Now, shares are pretty straightforward. However, because of shares, there has always been an issue as regards to shares because every so often you are encouraged to have several types of shares in different companies so that you can have a balanced portfolio. However, ETFs allow you to be able to overcome this problem by allowing you to buy one item of an ETF that has a diversified portfolio. So shares have that problem of diversification. Again, for you to be able to diversify effectively with shares, you need a lot of money because you need to buy shares for several companies here and there. So for you to be properly diversified, you take a longer period of time. However, with ETFs, by purchasing one asset of ETF, you are diversified across a high range of assets. In this particular time, for the X-Trackers MCIS World Information Technology, the ETF that we are using as an example, when you invest in one ETF, you are invested in 186 companies at the moment of recording. 186 companies. So you see, by purchasing one item, you are able to get a diversification in your asset portfolio. Then the other thing is the problem of time. For you to be able to invest, even if you had the money and you needed to invest in these so-called shares to give you a diversification, you would need a lot of time as you buy and buy and buy. So by buying an ETF, you are able to buy a diversified portfolio without spending too much money and time. Ladies and gentlemen, so the brokers realized that many people wanted to invest in the stock market, but many people were afraid of the volatility of shares before investors could be able to buy enough to have a diversified portfolio. So they came up with instruments that can be traded just like shares. So they buy several shares and in a basket and allow people to be able to buy a share of their diversified basket of shares. And these shares are either structured in specific characteristics. For example, this ETF that we have here, the World Information Technology ETF, is mainly for technology companies, ladies and gentlemen. So by you buying into this ETF, you are able to enjoy the economies of scale of owning a large basket of shares with a specific price point. So even for 50 euros, you could be able to get this basket of shares, which is the current going price thereabout of this ETF. So then the other thing that ETFs helps to solve is the problem of cross-border trading. ETFs are composed of shares that are beyond one geographical location from various parts of the world. And therefore, it enables you as a normal person, a normal investor, to be able to have a diversified portfolio across several countries, which is a bit difficult sometimes and sometimes prohibitive from the place where you come from. So, this allows you to have cross border investments with little effort, time, and resources. Ladies and gentlemen, that is why ETFs came up. So I hope now you understand the difference between shares and ETFs and what ETFs came about to try to solve the problem of shares investing. So let us go straight to this document that you can be able to see for this one. Uh, you could be able to see that it has 186 companies. So that one share of ETF is 186 companies in that ETF. And then you can be able to see, according to the fact sheet here, you can be able to see that for this MCSIE, Extracus MSCI World Information Technology ETF, you have among the highest composition of shares is Apple, then Microsoft, then Visa Corporation, then MasterCard, PayPal, Intel, ASML, Adobe, Salesforce, among others. So these are just the top, the highest number of shares in this ETF. Then you can be able to see, like I said, about geographical investing, investing beyond your borders. You can be able to see this ETF, in as much as it's highly invested in the USA, where a majority of these technology companies are, you can be able to see that this ETF has shares in the USA, Japan, Netherlands, Germany, Canada, Ireland, France, Switzerland, Israel, among others. So the diversification across countries is also possible. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are to invest in certain countries, you need certain currencies to be able to invest in that, if at all they allow normal individuals to be able to own shares in those countries. So you're able to diversify in countries by investing in an ETF. Then the other thing to be able to see is that this ETF allows you to not only invest in information technology, but the various spheres of information technology. You can be able to see there's a technology hardware, there's software, there's database and data, there's storage, there's IT services, there's telecommunications, internet services, computer equipment, and others. So you can be able to see the various activities that this company undertake. You can be able to diversify according to the various activities that these companies undertake. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is a small brief on what ETF investing entails. So how can you go about investing in ETFs? Ladies and gentlemen, for you to be able to invest in ETFs, you need to open a normal brokerage account. And to open a normal brokerage account, then you'll be able to look for securities or investments called ETFs. You just go and search. Then you can be able to check and verify the kind of ETFs you want to invest in. Ladies and gentlemen, various ETFs are classified according to the area of investment. So like this one, information technology, they are classified according to their dividend payment. So there's high dividend ETFs. Then there's low volatility ETFs, so the ETFs that do not have a big spike when there's an economic trouble or economic downturn. Then there are those ETFs that are based on various other factors or location. For example, you can pick an ETF that is mostly for Asia or mostly for Africa or mostly for Europe. You are the one who determines the kind of ETF you want. Also, ETFs that are like the S&P 500, so for a specific stock exchange, so you can be able to specify whichever you want. So once you pick your ETF, then you can be able to buy it like a normal share and sell it like a normal share. So the advantages of an ETF again are you are able to buy into many companies, you're able to spend little time and little money and able to enjoy the economies of scale of investing in a big portfolio with small funds. Ladies and gentlemen, those are some of the advantages of ETFs. Then you can be able to trade them like shares. You can be able to sell and buy just like shares. So that is ETF investing for beginners. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down there. Ask any questions. If you have any comment or queries, then you can ask even still. Please remember to like this document so that this message can get to many people, and click on the red icon on my face there so that you can be able to subscribe to this channel and get this and more tips on investing and how to grow your finances. Thank you and enjoy your day.